Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 331. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today we're going to be talking to Ms. Taylor Jones about how to build your brand with influencers. How to use influencers to help build your brand. Now, if that last name sounds familiar, it's because she's my oldest daughter. And so this is a great show for me today. Very happy to have her on the show. She has experience in the influencer marketing space, and that's where she's currently working right now. So I had a lot of the BEB family members reach out to me and ask me about influencer marketing. So I wanted to bring Taylor on to give you guys some more insight and some more in-depth conversation. Now, before we get to today's show, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and my resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Now, I also want to remind you guys that Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy is rebooted and rebranded. So make sure you go to bebacademy.com, get a 5-day free trial in the academy, and you can use and learn from all of the courses and online trainings in the academy. Now, I mentioned to you this rebranded and rebooted academy, and so we have consistent content that's always updating. So I just uploaded into the academy how to build an automatic lead generation system live training. So that's a live training on how to build automatic lead generation system. Now, once again, without leads, you don't have sales, you don't have revenues, and you don't have a business. Now, the number one metric, and I've said this on many episodes, the number one metric you need to look at each morning when you get up is not how much money is in your bank account, but how many new people have you added to your database today? Because what happens, the more people you add to your database, the more money you're going to make. So it's all relative. Once again, guys, bebacademy.com. Check it out, 5 days free, and you have access to all the content in the academy. Now, let's get ready for today's show. Today, family, we have a great episode in store for you. We're going to talk about how to build your brand with influencers. And today I'm happy to announce that my oldest daughter, Taylor, is going to be with me on today's show because she has some expertise in the field. And you know how we do. We always bring in people that have the know-how when we talk about different types of strategies and tactics here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Tay, how are you today, sweetie?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right.
It's so close to home. I'm so used to watching him record the podcast, and now I'm a guest today, so I guess everything comes full circle.
Most definitely. I almost didn't have you on because you were acting up a little bit last week, but I wanted to bring you on anyway. So for the people that don't know your background, Tay, give them a little bit of your background and talk about influencer marketing or what you're doing in that space.
Yeah, so I work in influencer marketing for a tech company, and that tech company focuses on providing domains. It's a website building platform. It has e-commerce capabilities. So I won't explicitly name the name of the company, but that's pretty much the background on what services we provide. More in depth, however, I run the influencer marketing program there, more specifically with YouTube content creators. So a lot of sourcing, partnerships, contracting with them, and really leveraging the power of social media, to sell our brand.
There you go. So now you guys know, if you've listened to the show for any period of time, I got a new hot sauce brand coming out. So it's in a soft launch right now. But when I do my big launch, I'm going to incorporate influencers to help build the brand. And that's why I have Taylor right here. So she's walking me through all the steps. And I wanted to help impart or share some of this information with the BEB family, because I get a lot of DMs and emails asking me about influencer marketing. And you guys know I don't like to talk about stuff unless I've done it or I have a guest that's been in that space. So, Tay, can you give us a little idea about the power of influencers when it comes to brands and marketing?
And definitely. So influencer marketing is such an extraordinary concept. 10 or 15 years ago, the idea of it just did not exist. We didn't have these digital communities. We didn't have all of these platforms that existed. So influencer marketing is something that is really a new frontier, and it's evolving year over year, if not month over month. What's really interesting is that in the past, when you think about brand endorsements, you would have Kobe Bryant, for Coca-Cola or Pepsi, but how actively are you engaging with Kobe Bryant? And so what's really interesting about influencer marketing is that you have all of these micro communities on the web, and people are very invested in these creators because they can drop content anywhere and anytime. And as a result, because of that investment in these content creators, they are able to endorse and thus sell products or brands in a way that we've never seen before.
Yeah, it's a place right now that we've never been. And for me, as you young guys call me, the old head, right? It's something that's really new to me. So I know you guys are more locked in on technology, but for cats around my age and older, it's a little different. So one of the things that I realized was, having done some research and also talking to you, was that I really need to start leveraging some of these influencers. And I'm not talking about, as Tay said, Kobe Bryant or people of that stature. I'm talking about maybe some micro influencers to start off to see how this campaign goes, and then we'll take it from there. In terms of what you should look for influencers for your brand or your product or your service, what are some of the things, Tay, that you think are important that people hone in or zero in on?
Definitely. I think before you start looking at influencers, you have to look at yourself or your brand. What are you selling, and what do you want to get out of this? If you're talking top of funnel and you want brand awareness, so do you just want people to know that your brand exists? Perfect example, Nike. Everyone in the world, almost everyone in the world knows what Nike is, and you might not have gone into a Nike store, actively purchased their products, but their brand recognition is so strong. So for some people, it might not be necessarily getting people to check out on your site. It's simply getting your name out there. For others, it's e-commerce. I want people to see my product, like it, go to my site, and buy it. So once you identify what your goal is, then you can start looking at influencers and thinking about what you need from them. So the first thing is you have to understand your budget. Influencers right now have full-time jobs. There are influencers making upwards of $10 million a year. We're talking about the Liza Koshis, the David Dobrevs that might have started on Vine, which was a platform that's now extinct, but they have multi-million-dollar brand deals. So you really have to get an idea of how much are you willing to spend. The great thing though about influencer marketing is that the marketplace is huge. There are creators with as little as 5,000 to 10,000 followers, more or less, even less, that are doing brand deals now for as little as $100 to $200 a post. So there's really an influencer for you depending on what your budget is. So the first thing you want to look at is brand safety. So make sure you take a look at that influencer and see what they're posting. So
let me ask you real quick, brand safety. So just explain what that is.
Right. Okay. So right now we live in a very tumultuous environment. So the election is coming up. We have Black Lives Matter and police brutality and violence. There's a big thing called cancel culture right now. People have said things that have been incredibly racist, rude, problematic, and as soon as those creators, especially ones with a lot of visibility, are put on blast for that, what comes next is what brands are endorsing them.
Right.
And if you guys have seen, they are adding brands on Twitter.
Right.
They're like, don't, cancel their endorsement. And working for a brand, that is something we take very seriously. So internally, if we get any tweets or anything, we send that to our comms team, because the power of social media is so strong that whatever that influencer does can really directly contribute to our brand's perception.
Exactly.
And before I go deeper into brand safety, I should have mentioned you really need to establish what platforms you want to activate on. It's so easy to say social media, but they all operate really differently. Monetization looks very differently on them, and the way that people sell their inventory also changes with platforms. So what's most common right now is Instagram, but even within Instagram, you have multiple formats. You have stories, which are only up for 24 hours, but they have the swipe up function. So if you're looking for a cheaper option, you can buy that 24-hour inventory, have a link to swipe up, and you've partnered with that creator. More expensive integrations on Instagram look like something on their static feed, which will last for X period of time. So you bake that into the contract. You have to have this photo up for at least 6 months. We want the caption to look like this. We want you to include our coupon code in here. And maybe for 1 week, you can have the link in your Instagram bio. So you really have to think about, where do you want the content to live within that influencer's wheelhouse? As I said, I work primarily with YouTube. YouTube is really great because you can have videos that were posted over a year ago. And based on what is trending with searches, that video could go viral years later. Versus Instagram, in 6 months, that photo that might have been at the top of their feed is now 50 photos down. And especially with influencers, they post so often that the visibility to your product might decrease over time. So that's why I personally love YouTube. And you can see ROI months after you already contracted with them. TikTok right now is huge. And outside of the politics with China and everything going on, TikTok is really cool because the virality of it is something that we've never seen before. What I mean by that is, traditionally on Instagram, YouTube, even Twitter, you have to have a pretty solid following that you have to build up so that you get the views in general. So if I have 5,000 followers right now, it is really hard to guarantee that maybe 20,000 people will see the post, because we can only gauge what our engagement is and like how many people follow you. But with TikTok, there are people that are going viral on their first TikTok. We're talking 1 to 2 million views out of the blue, because the way the algorithm works, it is completely randomized, and you don't have a set feed the way you have on other social media channels. And that's something that's really unique. The downside of TikTok, though, is that it is really hard to track links. So you can't link in the TikTok description. You have to contract a TikToker to have a link in their bio. But again, that's very sacred inventory if they're a popular creator. So the most that you can do is tell them to put the code in the TikTok and hope that people look at it. But that's quantifying TikTok has been the hardest thing. But if you're looking for brand awareness, easily one of the best platforms to go for. A lot of companies have been using it. I see Grubhub ads all the time.
On TikTok?
Yeah, with the TikTokers ordering Grubhub food. And you're like, wow, I didn't know this was sponsored because the TikTok was that great. So that's just an example of some platforms and how they differ.
I want to ask you something. You left out a platform. You never mentioned Facebook. So, yeah, I know Facebook is not passe, because a lot of people, old heads like me, still, I don't even really use it too much, but a lot of people are still on there. So does Facebook, are they even in the game, or should people even look at Facebook for influencers?
Facebook is definitely in the game, but I think functionally it's a little bit different. If you're talking about ads, which I think you have way more expertise than I do, running Facebook ads is something that's I found very effective, and a lot of brands find it to be. However, Facebook is a very siloed community. You won't see posts outside of the people in your individual networks. I don't know, like during political times, or like where there's a lot of commotion going on. People talk about echo chambers. And the reason
Okay.
it's called echo chambers is because the only thing that you're seeing are the posts that people in your network are seeing. So an example of this from a political or social perspective is like all of your friends might be Democrats. So it looks like the entire world is Democratic, but that's
Right.
only because your 500 friends have similar views to you. But TikTok, that's why I brought it up, is the complete opposite.
Okay.
Because you're not dependent on your friends for content.
Gotcha.
So Facebook isn't dead. It actually has a huge market share internationally. I think in terms of influencer marketing, though, what I found is that a lot of YouTube influencers might have Facebook groups, for example, that they will have. So if they're entrepreneurs and they're like, they run a photography influencer channel, they might say join our Facebook group for, to link to their products. But outside of that, you don't have Facebook specific influencers. A lot of times they put content that they're producing on other platforms and throw it on Facebook after it's already produced, just to kind of house it.
So let me touch real quick on TikTok, right? Because from my perspective, when I see you and Erica and, you guys, my nieces, other nieces and nephews and stuff on TikTok, all I see is silly stuff. So what you're saying is that brands actually utilize TikTok and are effective, I guess. If they continue to use influencers on TikTok, they're making money from it. But yeah, so touch on that for me, because that was my initial perception. That it was just people doing dances and all kinds of stuff like that.
It definitely is. Sometimes I think I'm way too old to be on TikTok, but it's so creative, and I love that about it. But that's why I said you have to know what you want. And so TikTok is very effective for brand awareness and also for niches. So a perfect example, there are videos on TikTok called for Amazon hauls. Not that Amazon needs influencer marketing for the size, but it is incredibly effective. There are videos that are they're 1 minute long. Top 5 things you need from Amazon this fall or this winter.
You guys were talking about that.
Top 5, Target is a huge one, and Target doesn't even pay for this. It's just people that are Target fanatics that love Target. Top 5 things you need to buy from Target tomorrow. Perfect example was a face wash. So there's a big influencer on YouTube, and he does reviews of celebrities' skincare routines. So if Kim Kardashian does a video with Vogue and she's like, this is my get ready with me routine, this influencer will then take that video, put it side by side, and then critique, why did she do that? Or this is great, or you really need to buy that product, or that's way too expensive, you can get X instead. Millions of views every video. So there's a product right now, it's called CeraVe. It's been out forever, but it's a skincare brand. Every time I go to Target, their face wash is sold out.
Really?
And it's because there was a point in time a couple months ago where so many influencers were using that face wash because so many people were talking about it. So that's just a small example. And this happens a lot. Home Goods might drop something and people are like, Home Goods haul today. And you look online or try to go to the store, it's not there.
Get out of here.
So when you're able to see videos of people doing something that you can relate to, these are normal everyday people. As I said, you don't have to be famous to be viral.
Right.
So when you see, if you're 17 and you see another 17-year-old looking just like you doing it, that brand recognition or like, let me go out and get it is a lot stronger than watching Kim Kardashian go buy CeraVe, because the disconnect is just there. So to answer your question, TikTok is great for brand awareness. And if you have a product that looks really cool, so like, let me think of an example. If you have a tool, like a kitchen tool or device that can open cans really quickly, or where you can make coffee, like we're here in quarantine, so learning how to, foam the milk on your coffee, that looks very aesthetically pleasing.
That thing that you bought?
I bought it from Target because of TikTok. I got a milk foamer from Target for $7 because I saw a couple people, won't even call them influencers because they didn't have that many followers. It just happened to come up on my timeline and go viral, and they were foaming their milk and making all these lattes, and we're home during quarantine and I don't want to spend money on coffee every day, so I spent $7 and it was the best thing ever. But as a consumer, what provoked me to buy it was that I liked watching them use it, and because I liked watching them use it, I already knew how to use it once I bought it. and
cool.
and I saw
education.
And I actually saw all the recipes they were using with it. So it was essentially a recipe book, a user's manual, and almost like an infomercial within 1 minute, and it was effective. And I'm someone who's, a very conscious buyer. So TikTok is really unique in that sense, but you do have to find an influencer that has very organic content. Some influencers are just naturally funny, and they really know how to partner with brands. If you're like, hey, I want you to sell my hot sauce, they'll come back with you with 3 different concepts of a TikTok video they can make, skits, and it might be seamless. Other times you could choose an influencer who's...
You gotta lead them, or...
Yeah, you have to lead them, but also whose content isn't really aligned with what your product or service is. So them selling a hot sauce might not be that intuitive, and their followers might realize, oh, this is just a sponsored post. Skip, let me go to their original content. So it's really important that you find them. And the last thing I'll say about TikTok is that for legal purposes, a lot of these people are extremely young, so just make sure they're 18 or older. You have parent consent if you're reaching out to them. A lot of these people don't have representation yet, so when it comes to like contracting and finances, you're really working with a regular schmegular person a lot of times. And so that can become quite laborious if they're not trained in how to do influencer marketing and you're not really trained yourself. So sometimes there is a benefit working with a semi-larger influencer who has representation or an agency serving as the intermediary, because it can reduce a lot of the communication problems that we often face with influencers. And I'm happy to expand on that if you'd like me to.
All right. So. Before we expand on that, get yourself a drink. Okay? But before we expand on that, I wanted to talk about one thing to the BEB family too. So having the podcast and obviously the YouTube channel and all the other platforms that I'm on, I actually get a lot of Instagram, not individuals, but companies that actually reach out to me. So companies that are in the black space. So they're, hey man, I can do a boosted post for you, $20, $30, $40, IG story, $15. So don't sleep on that also, guys. So if you have a product or a service, you don't have to necessarily look for an individual. You can go and look for some Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts, and a lot of times, hey, just reach out, DM them. Hey, do you do advertising? Do you do boosted posts and all that type of stuff? And you'll be surprised. I actually was talking to one company. They have over like 326,000 followers on Twitter, and it was only $40 to do a post and a story. So I'm definitely coming at you. But that's something that you guys want to look at too. So it's really all about leverage. How can you leverage the influencers and the other platforms to help take your business or your brand to the next step? So you were talking, Tay, about going a little deeper.
Yeah. So I'll pull back a little bit. I could talk about TikTok forever because it's so new. It's so new.
TikTok paying you or something?
No. There definitely are downfalls.
You an influencer? Nah.
I wish. That's some good cash. But yeah, TikTok is something that it definitely has its downfalls. But I'm talking about it because for a lot of people your age, it is really hard to navigate. And there's, even for brands, there is no roadmap for TikTok. So it's something that's evolving. But in terms of getting started with influencer marketing, we discussed recognizing like what your need is or what you're hoping to accomplish. And then I think we left off on finding the right platform. So you have Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So I'll touch on YouTube because that's my specialty.
Okay.
What I love about YouTube is that the influencers on YouTube are so committed. They are so dedicated. For you to have a loyal following, you are doing this every week. You have a full setup. You are writing scripts for your videos. You are editing them. These people are one-man producers, some of them posting 4 to 5 times a week, whether it be vlogs or whatever. Right. What I also love about YouTube is it's so global. Yeah. YouTube is in almost every country, in any language. And so if you do have a product that you're hoping to market internationally, it's a really easy place to get started. When looking at YouTube influencers, there are multiple tiers, and depending on what agency or article you consult, the range of what's a tier 1 versus a micro influencer is going to vary. But I personally think for small business owners, you should really start with micro influencers. And what a micro influencer is it's an influencer that has a strong number, like strong people following them, like a strong amount, but not too large where they become unaffordable.
Give me, and I know it's going to vary, but give me, we talked about this off the air. Give me an idea. What would a micro influencer say in terms of YouTube followers be? 10,000, 5,000?
A small YouTube influencer that might have 20,000 subscribers, maybe average 10 to 15,000 views, can go as low as $100 to $300 a video.
Oh, wow.
But I think what you have to think about is what are you asking of the influencer. Right. So typically there are two types of integrations you can do with YouTube influencers. Okay. First is bracketed. So that would be, an example of that would be my dad and I talking like this, and we would say, thank you to X company for sponsoring this video. We love using X company because we have our own website, or we cook our own hot sauce at home, and we love that this company allows us to do this. Use our code Black Entrepreneur Blueprint for 25% off at checkout. And then we go right into the video.
Gotcha.
Into our own video
stuff. Okay.
And that's called a bracketed. That's called a bracketed video. And usually what you ask for is you ask for that either mid-roll, so in the middle of the video, or post-roll at the end. Obviously, if it's a 1 hour long YouTube video, a post-roll might not be the smartest because the retention rate of people in the beginning of the video compared to who stays to the end is significantly reduced. You also will, a lot of times brands will request that you note that this video is sponsored by X company at the beginning. And that's mostly for brand recognition. More effective types of videos, but they're more expensive, are called dedicated videos.
Right.
So this is where you contract an influencer to do an entire video around your product. A great example, for hot sauce, would be you paying a cooking influencer on YouTube to cook barbecue ribs with your hot sauce and your seasoning.
Gotcha.
In the video, if it's a good influencer, you should not know that it's sponsored until midway. Like, they have to know, due to FTC guidelines, you do have to note that it's sponsored, but it shouldn't feel sponsored. Gotcha. So it should be very native to the content already on your channel. And so in this hypothetical video, this creator is making food that they would normally make, and when it comes to seasoning the food, they would just talk more about the hot sauce, where to find it, why they love it, and then provide a discount code. And what happens when they do that is that you're seeing the product as they're making it, and then the end result, and naturally you're like, wow, that's all because of his hot sauce, which is way more effective than doing a bracketed video. However, bracketed videos are still very successful, and if you have the right influencer and it's the right brand match, I think you can really hit it big with that as well.
I wanted to ask you real quick, Tay, we didn't talk about engagement. So I know a lot of times, and as I'm doing research and working with Tay and other platforms, a lot of times you can have a lot of followers, but what type of engagement do you have? So can you talk a little bit about engagement and how important that is for the success of your influencer marketing?
That's such a great point. Engagement is everything. And so depending on the platform, engagement can be gauged in different ways, but I think universally, comments are the number one way that you can gauge engagement. So a perfect example, we see this with YouTubers all the time. The agency might say, our YouTuber has 1 million subscribers, so they're worth X amount. And we'll do a quick audit on their page and look at their videos. If they have 1 million subscribers, but they're only averaging 20,000 views a video, what happened to the remainder of those subscribers? So now we know, okay, why are so many people subscribed, but the view count isn't matching that. Compared to a micro influencer who might only have 20,000 views, but they might also have 20,000 subscribers, that engagement is incredibly higher than someone with the same amount of views and more subscribers, because we know that those people watching those videos are more engaged. Another way to gauge it, like I said, are comments. So for micro influencers, they might only have 10 to 20,000 views, but if they have 500 comments underneath the video, wow, people want to interact with this influencer. So definitely note that. For Instagram, comments are really big as well. Really common for people to have hundreds of thousands of likes, but likes are the most passive type of engagement. And as social media is evolving, marketers know that it's incredibly easy to like, but it doesn't mean you really looked at the product. So commenting, sharing. So if you share it to your story or to your own feed, and also saving a video or a photo is actually a way higher form of engagement than just liking it. So it does vary between platform, but I think overall you just need to look, how much do people care about this content? And take a look at the comments. If it's a video on someone talking about their mental health and they're opening up, a lot of lifestyle vloggers have those type of videos. Look at the comments, and if people are like, oh my God, I love these videos, I've been following you for 5 years, I've loved how much your channel has grown, that's an incredible sign. If it's a cooking channel, man, I can't wait, every Friday you drop a new video, can't wait to try this recipe. Those are the type of things that you really want to look for, because those are the type of followers that they have that could really convert to your product.
It's crazy because I'm talking about influencers, but I mentioned to you guys, and I've done a couple of drops, and I'm gonna do a drop right now, so it's coming at you. So I was on the other end, or am on the other end of, I guess I'm a quote unquote micro influencer, because I've had people reach out to me. So Himalaya.com, which is an audio learning, basically pod course, had reached out to me. So I have a course on there. So if you want to go to Himalaya.com/blueprint and then use the coupon code blueprint, you'll actually get 14 days free trial. And you have other people that have courses on there, in addition to myself, Seth Godin, all types of top entrepreneur, and actually other types of people too. So it's funny. So I actually saw that from the other end as me, quote unquote, being an influencer, which basically surprised the heck out of me. No, but people are reaching out to me, hey, I want to partner with you. And so now I'm actually going to the other side and trying to connect with influencers myself. So it's pretty interesting. And one thing that I learned about Himalaya when I did some research, they actually started with $200 million. And so they're an audio platform, podcast platform that creates pod courses, or partners with people that create pod courses. And once again, they gave me X amount of money, but Seth Godin, Tim Ferriss, and all these other guys, I'm sure they're getting tons more money than I am. But what they're doing is they're bringing attention to their platform, and they're looking at all types of different verticals and markets to bring attention to those platforms. So once again, hey, it's nice being on that side, but I need to start working with influencers now to get this hot sauce thing rocking, all right?
I'm so glad you brought that up, though, because when you said you were surprised that you were an influencer on the brand side, I was not surprised at all. I actually kept asking him, have any brands reached out? Like, are you planning on, monetizing this? Because from the brand side, yes, it's important to have a wide reach, but what's more important is, do you know that influencer's audience? And so from a brand, if I was going to sponsor with you, I know that your followers are highly engaged and they are interested in entrepreneurship, and they probably come from a demographic that is of color, you know? And so based on that alone, the value I see in you might be 10 times more valuable than a general entrepreneurial website or podcast that might be too generalized, where people might check out one episode, 5 months later, see another one. And I feel like your followers are more consistent, and that's really, really important.
And I want to touch on that too real quick. And if any of you guys who've listened to the podcast for any period of time, when I first started this, I was actually on terrestrial radio, and I'm going to get to the point about like zoning in or zeroing in on a niche. I started on the radio, and the show was actually called The Entrepreneur Advantage. And it was just entrepreneurship in general, not specifically focused for black folk, right? So when I was on the radio station, I had one day a week, I think I was on Tuesday evenings or something like that. And one of the things was, this is when podcasts and, internet, what they called that back then, internet radio was coming out. And I said, man, I gotta go to that, because I have to get my voice out, and it has to be heard, I think, on a larger platform. And so when I started the podcast, I said, you know what, I need to niche it down. And so when you talk about marketing and business, you can go wide or you can go deep. So the penetration comes from niching down. And so when I thought about Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, number one, I'm talking to myself, right? So I'm an expert in this because this is what I do. I'm black and I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I know some of the intrinsic things that come with that. And so one of the things is a lot of times we need to start focusing and niche down and penetrate, and then you too can possibly become some type of influencer. And once again, my influence comes from downloads. So I don't have a ton of YouTube followers, Twitter, Instagram, but my downloads for podcasts are what people are looking at when they're reaching out to me. So yeah, that's one of the things.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that point, I think being able to quantify, if you are looking to become an influencer, being able to quantify your value is incredibly important when negotiating. My company also runs a very robust podcast marketing program, and while we're looking at on the YouTube side, views, subscribers, engagement, podcast is very simple. How many average downloads do you have? Right. And either you can deliver that or you can't. Yeah. The other thing when looking at influencers, whether you are the influencer or looking to partner with them, is how much can the content live on other areas? So it's really common to contract for more than just one platform. So again, for example, if they have a very big YouTube presence, typically they will have a pretty solid Instagram influence as well, just due to the nature of the site traffic. I've found that most YouTubers that have very robust following and have been on the platform for a long time will have enough followers on Instagram where you could contract a static post or a story and it would make sense. TikTok is interesting because some people might be incredibly popular on TikTok,
right,
and have literally 2% of those followers on Instagram or on others. So it might be a great partnership for that platform, but it's not guaranteed that it'll work on other platforms. So that's something to really consider if you're sourcing for influencers. Do you want to kind of contract them for a bundle deal, or do you want to focus on a specific platform? And then also verticals or niches are incredibly important. There's so many strategies you can take when doing influencer marketing. Do you want to try YouTube first? Do you want to do YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram?
Right.
There's so many combinations that you can activate on. But I think what's most important is thinking about what verticals are you looking to focus on. So if you are selling a journal, right? It might be best to look at lifestyle influencers because that might already be part of their normal videos. This morning I journaled, get ready with me, day in the life. And so that's something that's a natural integration. And then also lifestyle influencers also tend to have good social media presence across boards. Another thing, photography is huge. There's so many trades: photography, cooking, art and design. You can go on YouTube and learn any skill.
Exactly.
So even if you're selling a brand of hammers, I guarantee you there are over 100 influencers that just build things on YouTube, on Instagram, and giving them your hammer to use in the video and talk about is it's really a thing. There's potential there. So really think about what digital communities or verticals you want to focus on, and that's a great way to start approaching sourcing.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm chuckling over here, guys, because when Taylor just talked about you could go on YouTube and do anything, I'm looking at it, right? And I'm looking at her hair. And so this is a personal story. Don't get mad at me. So when she was little, right, I used to do her hair going to school. And so when she just said YouTube, I said, man, I should have gone on YouTube and figured out how to braid hair, because she used to go to school every day with those twists, right?
He couldn't braid. He couldn't braid.
And I never thought about going on YouTube trying to learn how to braid. But we got a couple of pictures at the house, I think it was kindergarten or first grade. Oh man, I might put them up later. No, I'm joking. No.
But beauty is huge. Beauty is, I think, what set YouTube on fire. And especially for Black women, outside of going to the hair salon, it was so hard to find Black hair. Think about this.
Yeah.
When you Google braids, look to see what faces come up. Think about how Black people have to search hair for Black girls or styles for Black girls, because the way algorithms work, we're not represented. And so in terms of diversity and having an audience that, Black centered or centered on people of color, definitely leverage social media for that. Because race is a niche in itself. Experiences are a niche in itself. If you're selling a product that's catered to like queer or LGBTQ individuals, there are communities that exist just because people could not find themselves in the real world, and they couldn't connect in these rural cities, so they have these communities. So
definitely,
outside of just what your vertical or what the service or functionality of your product is, if you're really searching for a demographic niche, I think influencer marketing is so important.
That's a good point.
Because one thing that I am starting to realize is just like disability rights and advocacy, and that's something that we don't think about in our daily lives. But there are Instagram and YouTube channels about people that might be in wheelchairs. How do they travel? What clothes are they wearing? What brands are they wearing that have accessible clothing that is catered towards people that are differently abled? And so you might think, oh, where am I gonna find these people?
Right.
You might have a child that's suffering from a disability, so it might be focused on autism, whatever. There are people out there, and where do they go? They go online because they're all looking for resources. So if you do have a product that you think is so hard to find,
a micro
yeah, I really encourage you to look into influencer marketing, because a lot of these people have actually gotten a lot of publicity and also just a large following because there was no one else like them on the internet, and so people gravitated towards them.
I want to touch on basically what we've been talking about so far in terms of influencers. So as I just sit here and I listen and as we dialogue, I'm going to tell you guys right now, and I've been saying it for the last couple of years on the show, but I want to reiterate it right now. If you're not doing something online, like I said, and I know y'all said, man, this cat say this every week. I don't care if you're selling a number 2 pencil and paper clips online. You have the ability right now at the tip of your fingers. The world is there. It's there. So when some of my old business partners, my buddies and I, and we talked about when we started our first businesses in the mid 90s, early 90s, where the only way we could get some traction was if somebody wrote an article about us, if we paid for television advertising, or if we paid for newspaper or magazine advertising. And trust me, that's a lot of money, especially when you're starting up. So the playing field, guys, is level. And I always talk about, we have fun on our phones. We laugh and we do all of that. But utilize the technology right now to start making and money and building businesses. So don't just be on the consumer side. You got to start being on the producer side. And so when I see all of this, I try to tap into young cats like Tay. So, hey, Dad, you might need to think about doing this, because, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna run a newspaper ad. I don't do that, but it's being able to right now use this technology and make money. I'm telling y'all right now, I wouldn't even be here right now if the internet was out when I got down with my first business, because I'd be in Bali somewhere on a hammock, because I'd have made so much money. So, and I understand everything is relative. So for you younger folk, this is natural and normal for you. So it's no big thing. But for people in the previous generation like myself, when we see this, this actual access to everybody, I literally could spend $5 a day on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, and promote and market my business. And this is, to me, this is crazy. So we were talking the other night, there was a family, I was watching some TV show, and I forgot where we were, but I was we went out to dinner, I think, all of us. And I was talking about a family that was coming from Asia, and they were getting interviewed on the news. And she was like, yeah, we came over, it's a great opportunity in the United States. I want to show you my beautiful home. And so the the television cameras went up to the house. It was an apartment on top of a store, and it was like 8 to 10 people, family members living there. And her, to her, that was living great, because relative to where she came from, this was beautiful. So she came from an impoverished nation. I forgot where it was. And she was like, it doesn't matter that there are a lot of people. We got food, we got water, we have clean surroundings, a roof that over our head, and a floor that's not dirt. So it's all relative. So a lot of times you got to pull back and understand what you have at your disposal, and not just understand it, but utilize the tools at your disposal right now. So the stuff that we're talking about right now, I mean, you know, my wife and I would be asking the kids, hey, you know, how you do this? They like, oh, Dad, give me this. You know, here, get out of here. But the thing is, you know, the generation before us, man, you guys are right in the mix. So make sure you use those tools and leverage those tools. Leverage those influencers. And like I said, I got influencer platforms like right now, $20, $30 to do a post. And got a couple 100,000 people following them. Come on, man. So I'm on that. So I didn't mean to take up too much time because I know this is your show. She was like, Dad, this is my show tonight.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
She's like, you just sit down and I'm gonna handle the rest.
I wish. I'm joking.
but that's what's up. So before we close on out, is there anything you think that the BEB family needs to know or you left out or anything before I let you give your social media or your contact information?
For sure. I think because digital communities are so large, it could be really overwhelming to get started. I think the first thing you need to do is just research. And the great thing about researching on social media is you're already on your phone anyway. If you're on Facebook, you know, at 10 p.m. before you go to bed, there's a way that you can turn that into, you know, a productive, you know, research session if you want. So the first thing is really utilize hashtags. So if you're selling hot sauce, hashtag cooking, barbecue, sauce making, on every platform, and you'll be astounded about what comes up. That's the easiest way to just gauge the environment. If you are looking for top influencers or influencers that might be up and coming, I found that actually looking at news articles is really, really helpful. So this might be a little bit more tailored to like larger influencers, but if you want a better idea of the landscape, you can Google top up and coming black YouTubers I should follow. And usually you have, you know, Refinery 29 and these other sites that really track that and do interviews with these influencers. So just so you can get a better idea of who are the key players. There are programs that you can buy that provide more insights on influencers, but I really don't recommend that you pay for them until you really implement like a robust program where you really want to see what their average engagement, average views are. That's something that we use on the brand side, but it's not cheap and it makes sense for us, but maybe not for someone getting started. I would also say write everything down. So if you're on Facebook one day and you come across a video, like a cooking video, like it comes, like Facebook is really good for that. They always have random videos coming up. Look to see if that influencer activates on other platforms as well. Write their name down. And before you know it, just by being on your phone for 1 week, you're being exposed to like hundreds of influencers. You're just not registering that they're influencers.
Exactly.
And so once you have a list of people, that's when you can begin outreach. Outreach is really simple. A lot of influencers, especially micro influencers, are normal people. All it really takes is, you know, contact information in their bio, in their about me section, contact for business inquiries. Use that. They have that there for people that are interested. Every influencer is different, but if they're professional, they'll get back to you within like 3 business days. They'll ask what you have in mind. You can negotiate rates, and it can be something really simple. Obviously, if you're contracting large amounts, you might have to start getting into contracting. But what's great about that is if you already have a company that's up and running and you have disposable income, highly recommend working with some agencies. If it's a good agency, they will not charge you. They take commission from the influencers that they contract. So
I repeat that. I want the BEB family to hear this.
No agency should charge you $500, $1,000 off the top. It should not work like that. A good agency is like a normal agent in Hollywood. They take a portion or commission from what the influencer is making. Why is that? Because they obviously want the influencer to get paid more, but also they handle all of the nitty gritty, which is really, really important. And I say that coming from a brand that we source directly. So we look at articles, you know, we review random people's YouTube. We do the nitty gritty outreach. I've DM'd people on Instagram like, hey, do you have an email? You know, my brand is interested in sponsoring you, all the way up to having an agency that will contract, you know, large sums of money for influencers that are established. And what's great about having an intermediary is that to be completely honest, influencers, what's great about them is that they're normal people, but that's also their downfall. Right. Even for a brand where we pay them good money, it is so common where they're like, hey, sorry, won't have a video out. Life happened. Right. And I actually came from an entertainment background. Like, I was working in LA. And when I first started, I was like, how unprofessional is this? Because never in the entertainment industry was someone just like not produce content. Like, it doesn't work like that. But in influencer marketing, my coworkers are like, this happens every month. Like, we literally have to build out a buffer because we know that maybe X amount of spend is not going to go live because influencers are just not reliable. Right. So having a middle person is really great. They can help with contracting. They can help with following up on the influencer. Oftentimes, you're going to want to make sure you review the content before it goes live. Yeah. You'll be surprised. I've read integrations that were not even from our company. I'm like, I think you sent this to the wrong brand. Right. We are not X company, but video looks great, but please resend. So people are human. And so if you are at that level, again, your hot sauce not there yet. It will be, but it's coming at you, it's up and coming versus, you having a more established brand. It's really, really helpful. And so that's just something. But I think research is huge and just shoot your shot. Favorite quote, closed mouths don't get fed. So the same way that you might think it's insane that you know that's an old school quote. I know, but
you had to learn that the hard way. Who'd you think said that? Me? That's way back.
But to wrap this whole thing up, closed mouths don't get fed. And so if they do have an email them, do not DM them. If they don't have an email, feel free to DM them and then ask for an email. It's always great to have a paper trail. Yeah. You are still formally contracting a service. So God forbid you need legal records. Right. Please have everything in writing. But literally reach out and you'd be so surprised. And the way that you said, you don't even consider yourself an influencer. Yeah. Many of these micro influencers put their email there praying that someone reaches out. So when you do reach out, they are incredibly gracious. Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is, please be ready to give your product to them for free. I actually have a really small, like a very small blog on Instagram, and I've actually had a few small clothing companies and jewelry brands reach out to me, and I was really excited until they're like, you get 50% off of the store. Right. And then commission on what I sell. And because I work in influencer marketing, that is not how it works. Right. You don't give influencers deals. You send them that product. So you do have to have income or spend ready to send them that because you cannot expect them to buy your product to then promote it. It's very intuitive. I didn't think I would have to say that. Right. But you'd be so shocked because I've had over 3 small brands, literally the size of your hot sauce company, asking me to promote a necklace, and they want me to spend $75 on it to promote it. Yeah, come on. And that's not how it works. So just please make sure you have extra inventory on hand to send that so that they can integrate it into their content. Okay.
Well, I want to touch on that real quick. One of the things is too, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Tay, is so if you're doing a physical products brand, so what that is, that's promotional stuff. So for example, when people write books, so I get promotional copies of books all the time. They don't expect me to buy the book, but hey, here's my book, check it out. If you want to talk about it or come on the show or whatever, or I can come on the show and talk about it. So it's just like paying somebody, but all you're doing is giving them product as opposed to paying them to, you're still going to have to pay them, but you need to make sure you have that in your budget. So if you're ordering 500 bottles of hot sauce, just allot 50 bottles or whatever it is for your promotion so you can start getting that out there. But that's really your prime and the pump right there. I do want to touch on one more quick thing. I know we're going over, but both of us can talk. I think you got that naturally. But one of the things is too, we're talking about using influencers, and I touched a little bit about being an influencer, which, that just happened. But in the last 2 to 3 months, I've had one of my first cousins and one of my good friends talk about starting a YouTube channel. And their long-term goal is to become influencers. Now, one of my buddy is a wine guy, so he goes to wineries a lot on the weekend, and he's taking people through his travels of him learning and educating himself about wine. So he was like, man, I hope I can eventually get free trips to Sonoma, go out, interview people that own wineries and, all types of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's possible. And it's funny, just last week, my cousin and his wife called me. They do a lot of hiking and camping, and they get ready to buy a camper. And, they're going to, take videos and talk about their different travels. And I told them, I said, man, when you go to buy your camper, I said, you need to record that. I said, this is the type of content that people want to see. So if you don't know how to buy a camper, you got these two jokers right here buying their first camper. They probably don't know much more than you, but it's taking you through that whole process. So don't sleep on actually becoming an influencer. But what I will tell you, from my personal experience, I never got into this space to be an influencer. And I tell people all the time about podcasts and stuff like that. It's a long game. It's a long game. You're not going to wake up, I did 12 episodes of my YouTube show, and now I'm trying to get all types of bread. It don't work like that. So make sure if you're trying to be an influencer or build your platform, and I always talk about building your platform. Once you build your platform, be it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, and building your database, you can sell anything. So for example, with my cousin and his wife, I said, we were just going through some of the ways you can monetize. So in addition to, I said, what type of shoes do you wear? Oh, I use this brand of shoe when we hike. I said, okay, you can start, eventually when you get your numbers up, get your weight up, maybe you can start, getting sponsorship from them. What do you cook on? What type of cabin and stuff are you driving? All of that type of stuff. The monetization comes after the fact. If you don't have a platform, family, it doesn't matter. Okay, if I'm sitting here talking to the wall right here and nobody's listening, guess what? It won't matter. So it's almost like opening up the window at night and talking out of it and nobody hears you. You gotta build a platform. Platform first, and the monetization will come from around that platform.
Definitely. Yeah, it's so funny you brought that up.
Okay.
Because we do sponsor a lot of van lifers. We sponsor a lot of outdoor hiking folks, people that are nomads. But the biggest thing, and I should have mentioned this earlier, is consistency. So whether you're sourcing for an influencer or trying to become one, we've seen people that have 1 million views per video. That's insane.
Wow.
But if they haven't posted in 2 months,
right,
we're not going to sign them because we don't know what cadence you're on. And because of that, your followers might not know when to tune in. Exactly. Versus someone that might only have 30,000 a video, but they post every Tuesday and Friday. Right. We know that there's growth and there's evidence of that. Mm-hmm. And then also record everything if you're looking to become an influencer, because when it comes to YouTube specifically, people go there for things that they cannot find in the mainstream. Right. And so there's so many. I have to review every single video that we sponsor. It's a lot of videos every month. The ones that get the best views are like step by step how we purchased our camper. So where do you even go? Right. What do you even look for in a camper? Those are questions you don't even think to ask. Right. So whatever niche you're in, really think about experiences that might not be captured on, linear television, but you could go to YouTube and find. That's super, super important. And again, a lot of these influencers that we sponsor that, of course, are bigger than micro influencers, they've been on the platform minimum of 5 years. But the great thing about monetization is they link out to a lot of different things. So while you're doing research, if you are looking to get into those spaces, research the people that are already in them. There's room for everybody, but it gives you a good idea. Camping is still a big genre in itself. Man, are you hiking camping? Are you van life camping? Are you camping? Are you canoeing? Yeah. Like, there are so many sub genres within these larger genres. And so when you find the big channels that are doing it right, you can start seeing, well, who else is sponsoring them? Or what are they linking out to? And that's something that is so prominent that you talk about, is multiple streams of income. These YouTube influencers do YouTube because they're getting paid from the brands. Right. They're getting paid on Google AdSense for all the people that watch. Almost all of them that are in like photography, arts and crafts, or a a vertical that will teach someone how to do something. All have ebooks.
Right.
A lot of times they do consulting.
Products.
Free they do affiliate links in all their videos. So there's so much potential to be a YouTube influencer, but it does take a lot of work. And I will say with YouTubers, unlike just dropping a photo on Instagram, you do have to be extremely committed.
Right.
These people might start on iPhones. By the time they're in year 3, they have DSLRs. Big influencers have huge production teams. You don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But it is a commitment. So I will say YouTube is not for the easy-hearted. So if you are going to commit to it, be prepared to be spending a couple hours a week shooting, editing, uploading, and building that digital community. But seeing how much these people are paid by us and not even thinking about their annual income from other brands and their other streams of income, there are a lot of influencers easily making $5+ million a year, and more than half of that is passive income. So there's great potential for both your brand and the product you're trying to sell, or if you're trying to become the brand yourself and be an influencer. It's a frontier. It's a really open frontier, and I'm happy to help you guys navigate that if you're interested.
All right. Before you give your contact information, one of the things that I was telling my buddy who's looking to be in the wine space, and my first cousin and his wife who are looking to be in the quote unquote hiking or travel space, is that the beauty of it is they're not changing anything they do. So they're doing what they naturally do, and now they're documenting it. So I think that's one of the recipes for success. So if you're doing something that you normally don't do and now it's a hassle, oh man, I don't even like to hike, man, my feet are hurting, but I got to go out here and make this content. That's not something that you want to do. So take what you normally do. I mentioned on the show before, another buddy of mine loves to cook. He's always taking pictures. Great cook. He can monetize that. He hasn't done it, but he's just not in that space yet. But do what you normally do and find a niche that people want to, gravitate to. And that's how you'll be successful. Because number one, you're not going to be doing it for the money per se. You're just going to be doing it because that's what you normally do. Tay, before I forget, what kind of contact information you gonna give out to the BEB family?
Yeah, so if you're interested in learning more about influencer marketing, looking for any advice or help, I do offer consultations. You can reach me at taylorjconsulting@gmail.com. J is spelled Jay, so taylorjconsulting@gmail.com. Happy to connect with all of you guys and answer any questions or follow-ups that you might have. It's an intimidating space, but it also has so much opportunity, and I'm so excited to share whatever I can with you guys to help get your brands where they need to be.
That's what's up. Now I'm first in line, right? I want y'all to understand that. Now, let me stop. All right, family. I hope you enjoyed. This is a special occasion. Tay was actually on the show one time, audio version only. We got her in video, so she had to come on down, get herself all together. So we good to go today. But it's actually a blessing for me with my family. My younger daughter hasn't been on yet. My wife, I was trying to get her on tonight, but she didn't want to come on the tube. But I'm blessed to be able to have my oldest over here laying down some gems over here, stuff that I don't even know. And I'm just appreciative that she's even interested in what the old man does. So we're about to close it on out, family. And once again, make sure you check out, what's your email again?
TaylorJconsulting@gmail.com. Taylor, Taylor, Jay, consulting@gmail.com.
That's what's up. That was an amazing and informative interview with my daughter, Taylor Jones. And before we get to the last quarter of the show, I just want to share all my social media information and my resource links real quick. So at the top of the show, guys, I mentioned my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So you can go to anewblackwallstreet.com, pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print, $9.95 for the digital version. Now, if you need additional assistance building your successful, sustainable e-commerce business, my flagship course is available, Brand Builder Academy Elite. If you're looking to build a physical products brand or a digital products brand, this is the flagship program for you. Go to bbaelite.com. You can enroll. and use the coupon code BBA Elite 100. It takes $100 off the $197 price, so it's only $97. And I'm doing this because of COVID and people's funds are jacked up right now. And I've got a lot of people that reached out to me that couldn't afford the $197. So BBAElite.com. Use the code BBA Elite 100. Now, what this program is, it's a flagship program, pound for pound, my best program. It takes you from point A to point Z in building your successful e-commerce business. Now, what happens, it's a 15-week interactive implementation program, and it's all comprehensive. So make sure you check it out, BBAElite.com. Now, also, I created, and I mentioned this at the top, 2 platforms to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community. Number 1 is BeSmartByBlack.com. So if you are a Black product producer and you want to sell your products to Black consumers worldwide, upload your product information to BeSmartByBlack.com. It is free. Once again, I repeat, it's free. Upload your product information and you can sell to Black consumers worldwide. It's Q4. People are buying gifts. Make sure you take advantage of the platform. Now, for all of you freelancers, if you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, I've created a platform for you titled Hire Black Freelancers. Once again, it is free. Upload your contact information and you can connect with Black consumers and Black business owners that want to hire Black freelancers. So make sure you do that. Also, once again, my new course is out, a pod course. It's called The Blueprint, Pinpoint and Monetize Your Genius. I partnered with Himalaya Learning to do an audio course. Now, if you can go to Himalaya.com/blueprint and use the coupon code Blueprint, and you can get 14 days access to my course and many other courses by Tim Ferriss, Seth Godin, and a lot of other people. So make sure you go there, Himalaya.com/blueprint, and use the coupon code Blueprint for a 14-day free trial. Now, I know that was a lot. You can go to BEBconnect.com. That has all of my resource links, BEBconnect.com. Now, if you want to reach out to me, anything long, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Twitter, jjones001, Instagram, jjones4real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, hit the like and subscribe button. LinkedIn, you can find me, J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Also, if you want to be included in the BEB text line for invitations, reminders, and notifications of special events, text BEB to 555-888. That's BEB to 555-888. Also, I forgot to mention, with the new rebranded, rebooted Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy, we have updated content all the time. So we have several new courses and trainings in the program. The first one we put on last week was how to use quizzes to sell your product or service. We also uploaded how to build a successful YouTube channel tutorial. We uploaded also LinkedIn success, how to leverage LinkedIn to get more sales. And I just uploaded today, while I'm recording this, how to build an automated lead generation system. So the number one metric, family, that you need to have or look at every day is not how many dollars came into your account. It's how many new leads you put in your database. Now, let's do a couple of takeaways from today's episode. So I learned a lot today in terms of influencer marketing. And I'm blessed to be able to have my daughter in that space. So I have instant and direct access to that. And I'm actually leveraging some influencers right now, or in the process of doing so. So one of the things she talked about was, what are you selling? You have to understand, what are you selling and what are your objectives? Do you want awareness or do you want sales? Do you want awareness or do you want sales? Most small business owners, I'm sure, probably would want the sales versus the awareness, because that's putting money back in your pocket. She also talked about understanding your budget. So that's something that we talked about privately. So if you look at the top influencers, they may be out of your range in terms of monetarily. But if you look at, B and C level influencers, or what they call, quote unquote, micro influencers, they may be more along the lines for you in terms of your budget concerns. Also, what also is big is brand safety. And Tay was talking about the cancel culture. So brand safety is definitely important. You don't want to associate yourself with some type of influencer that has some type of issue or says something that goes directly against your brand and what your brand stands for. So you need to look at brand safety. Also, what platforms do you want to focus on? You know, Tay was talking about there are many social media platforms. You know, TikTok is big right now. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So which platform do you want to focus on? Where are the people or your prospects located? Are they more on TikTok? Are they on Instagram? Are they on YouTube? So you have to define what platform that your prospective customers are on. Also, engagement. And this is something that I was really interested in when Tay talked about what is the engagement of the influencer. So if you have 1 million followers on YouTube and you're only getting 3,000 views on your YouTube videos, that means you don't have big engagement. So engagement is the key. So I hope you guys learned a lot about influencer marketing. Also, once again, if you want to talk to Tay in more depth, it's Taylor J, TaylorJay, TaylorJConsulting@gmail.com. Check it out, TaylorJConsulting@gmail.com. Now, I know I say this each and every week, family, but I got to say it because I mean it. Each and every week, we get more downloads and more downloads and more downloads, and that's attributed to you guys, the BEB family. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast and the blog because really, guys, it's a movement. It's about building an economic power base in the Black community. And what we need to do is we need to continue to build Black businesses and support Black-owned businesses, not just here in the States or North America, but worldwide. So I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And I want to thank you so much, like I said, for making Black Entrepreneur Blueprint the #1 Black entrepreneur podcast in the world. Rocking for over 6 years, 330 plus episodes. And that wouldn't be possible without the support of the BEB family. So make sure, guys, you please spread the word. And like I said, this is a movement. And there's no revolution without economics. I say it every week. There's no revolution without economics. Now, I don't have that shirt on today, but I got another shirt on, though. It's just as powerful. Dedicate to educate, to elevate, to aggregate, to liberate. We got to dedicate ourselves to learning, leveling up. We have to educate ourselves, continue to educate ourselves and our children and our families. We need to elevate, take your thinking up another level. We need to aggregate. That means come together. That's why our buying power isn't what it should be right now because it's dispersed. It's not aggregated. If we aggregated that buying power on Black-owned businesses, it's a whole new economy. And liberate. The liberation doesn't come without the economics. Once again, family, we're looking to build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community. There's no revolution without economics. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.